Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have 5 shoe food delivery scary stories and the question of the videos. Do guys prefer background videos or background photos with the stories? So let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching, and let's start reading the stories. This is something that happened last year. I was at home and it was night time. I was having a relaxing evening until the doorbell rang. I was not expecting anybody, so I wasn't sure what was going on or who would be there. I got up and walked over to the door and then looked outside. There was a man standing there holding a green Hooper Eats bag, and he was wearing a new breed hat as well, but I didn't order any food, so I decided not to answer the door. I figured he would realize that he was at the wrong house, but he didn't figure it out, and then he started knocking on the door. So he realized that I would have to tell him. I opened the living room window, which was right by the chair that I was sitting in, and kind of near the door. I called out to the man who was on my front step and I said, "I didn't order anything. I think give the wrong house." The guy looked over at me surprised and then looked back at my door. He said, "No, this is the right place." I found it out that he didn't even double check, like he didn't even go to his phone to confirm anything. He just simply claimed that the delivery was for my house. I told him that I didn't order anything. The guy responded and said that that wasn't his problem and he just needed me to open the door so he could deliver it. I said to just leave it and go. For some reason the guy seems suspicious. I'm not normally one to be overly suspicious of everyone, but something about this just seems sketchy from the start. The guy then said something that only added to the suspicion. He said that I needed to answer the door because the food was not yet get paid for. Now I've only used those food delivery apps a couple of times and I'm not entirely sure how they work, but I think you have to pay on the app. I don't think it's like ordering a pizza where you pay once it gets the, and this set off red flags in my head about the guy even more. I asked him what it was and he said he didn't know. I just said, well, I didn't order anything, so I'm not going to pay for anything. The guy urged me to open the door one more time before angrily walking off with the food. I was glad that he was gone. I thought that that was the end of it, but it wasn't. The very next night it came back. It was later at night this time, and once more I was at home by myself. The doorbell rang and I looked out of a window to see the same man standing there. I decided not to answer or say anything because obviously once again he did not order any food. I completely ignored the doorbell, and I also ignored it when he started loudly knocking on the door. He knocked on it a few times over the course of maybe 2 or 3 minutes, even your DoorDash, but I still did nothing. Finally I heard him start to walk away, except the man did not leave my property. Instead he walked off the front step and then went around to the back of the house. He was in my small backyard, and then I turned on a backlight and yelled from the window telling him to leave. It worked, and the man that ran off and left my property after that night, it did not return, but I think that he did not work for it and greet or DoorDash or anything. He was obviously very suspicious, and he said multiple things that did not line up, and or I'm not sure what his objective was, if he was trying to rob me or something, or what. Good, I'm glad that I didn't open the door for him. He used to be a pizza delivery driver for time period when I was younger. One night we had an order of 4 pizzas, and I was going to make the delivery. The pizza place I worked at was a chain that was in town, and it was typically busy, so I took the 4 pizzas when they were done, and then I went out to my car, began driving to the address. By now it was about 10 o'clock at night, but we were open late, as many pizza places are. So after driving to the address, it took me to this fairly quiet and pretty average looking neighborhood. I remember that I parked out front on the side of the road, got out and walked up the driveway. The street had many houses, each with the around the semi-sized front yards and a good amount of trees. I got up to the doorstep and rang the doorbell to the house. Moments later the door opened and a woman answered. She instantly asked me to please come inside and didn't say anything else. The pizzas were not yet paid for, so I stepped inside the house. When I got in, it seemed like a normal place, a little small but nothing too out of the ordinary. The entryway went into what looked like the living room and dining room area. The lights were on in there but appeared to be off deeper in the house. So lady then asked me to follow her, and she mentioned, have you to get the money? She asked me though if I could please set the pizzas down where she needed. Then I said okay, and I walked behind her and then followed her through that room and then into a hallway. This hallway had the lights off and it got significantly darker. I thought that she would have led me to the table either in the dining room or kitchen, and he would drop the pizzas there. I was 90% sure that where we were going, so when we went past that and went to the hallway I was kind of confused, but in this dark hallway there were several doors, which I guess were maybe bedrooms or Maybe a bathroom or closet. I think there were 4 total, but all the doors were closed except for one that was cracked open. A little, and all the lights in these rooms appeared to be on. The woman then went to the door, cracked open a little, and opened it all the way. I saw nothing but pitch black, and then she did not go fully into the room. Would ask me to put the pizzas in that room. This gave me a bad feeling obviously, and it seemed sketchy. I started to walk into it anyways, and I was literally about to say to the woman, "Can you turn a light on for me?" I could not turn a light on myself because I was holding the 4 pizzas, so my hands were completely full. By just before I said that, the woman said, "I have to get your money waiting there, I'll be right back." She then quickly walked away. I stayed basically in the doorway of that dark room but did not go inside. I looked around near the door for a light switch, but I could not see one, so then I went out into the hallway and I was trying to find the light switch there, but I couldn't find any there either. This seems really weird, so I went back into the doorway of that dark room and I looked around. My eyes were not really adjusting to the dark and I still could not really see anything at all. I waited there for maybe a minute or so. It was completely quiet until I heard something. That there was movement from inside the dark room. Somebody was in there. I could tell that it was from deep in the room, but it sounded like someone was starting to walk through the room. It instantly scared me, but it sounded like somebody was starting to walk through the moon. It instantly scared me, especially with how it was so dark in there and how I had been there for a little bit and never seen or heard anything without really thinking about it. He just turned and walked away. I went back towards the front of the house and front door area. When I did, the person in that dark room did not leave and did not say anything either. I felt much better when I was back out closer to the front door, but I still heard nothing and I had no idea where the woman was. After standing around and waiting for like 2 or 3 more minutes, I called out to her. I said something like, "Are you going to be much longer? I have another delivery to make." I said it pretty loud, but I got no reply. I was really confused by this, so I stood around for maybe another minute or so. Then I basically yelled, "Hello there." We still nothing. The longer I was standing there, the more creeped out I was. Finally, after like another minute, I couldn't take it anymore. I just turned around and left. I took the 4 pizzas and I walked out the door and quickly went back out to my cause. I got in and jogged back and told my boss what happened. He was mad, but thankfully not mad at me, more so with the customers. He understood that the situation was pretty sketchy, and he didn't blame me for leaving, so I didn't get in trouble or anything. But in all my time delivering pizzas, that was by far the weirdest situation. I'm not sure what exactly was going on there, but I'm glad that I left when I did. He used to deliver for DoorDash sometimes. My scary situation came about 2 years ago when I made a delivery. What happened was, he picked up some food from a restaurant and then was going to deliver it. I was working in an area about 15 minutes outside of the city, for there are a ton of houses and apartments, but it was easier to drive around there because it was a little more spread out. I remember that it was nighttime, about 9 o'clock probably, and I drove from the restaurant to the address. When I got to the address, it was a residential street with a bunch of houses. I made the delivery to the house and it went fine. I got back to my car and there was literally no other cars on this quiet street. When I got back to my car, I decided to take another order, so I started driving away to go to the next restaurant, and like as soon as I started driving, I noticed headlights behind me. As I got farther down the street, I realized that the headlights were on a pickup truck, but I thought nothing of it at all. I left that street and I got to another one. The truck behind me did the same, but it wasn't until I got to the next street and the truck that right on my bumper that alarms went off in my head. This truck seemed to be following. It made no sense at all though, because I literally did nothing. And I had no idea who is behind the wheel. I could not see, but I didn't know anyone with this kind of truck. He kept driving and was on a fairly average county road that was pretty quiet at this hour. I tried to make a random turn to see what would happen, but the truck just followed me, so then I went back to the route I was supposed to be making a delivery, so I decided to just drive to the restaurant anyways. My thought was maybe going to a public place like that would lose the person following me, and at least I would probably feel safer. The truck followed me all the way to the restaurant. I went into the parking lot though, and the truck circled around it but did not go with it. Was a parking lot in the shopping that basically had a bunch of other parking lots or connected, and a few quiet roads as well. So while I felt a little bit better, I knew that the truck could probably still see my car from wherever he went and follow me again. When I left, if he wanted to, I got out, went inside, picked up the food, and then went back to my car, hoping that I would not be followed anymore. When I first got back to my car, looked around, I did not see the truck, but When I left the restaurant parking lot and was driving out of the shopping center area, those headlights once again appeared in my beaver. I was wondering why on earth this guy was following me, but I continued with the delivery. I drove all the way to the next house that I was delivering to with the truck following me the entire time. When I parked out front, the truck pulled over. Being me, I wondered what he would do. I got out of my car with the food and the guy in the truck too. Knock it out. Then I walked up to the house and made the delivery, but when I was up at the front door I heard the truck move. I hoped that maybe he would drive away, but instead I saw the truck pull to right even with my car and then stop. Now he was right in the middle of the road. It was almost like he was waiting for me. I stayed by the door of the house, and that because I was scared to go back to my car. Why was the truck just in with my car like there? After dropping off the food, I just kind of hung around the front step for a minute. Then I noticed another car coming down the street. It approached the truck and the truck was blocking its way from getting by, so after a couple of seconds the truck then moved forward to let the car pass. It then pulled over to the side of the road in front of me. Nikon, when I saw the truck moving, I took it as my chance. I ran back to my car and they got inside right after the other car had passed. The truck started reversing before I could leave. It once again got even with me. I sort of saw the guy that was driving, but not very well. I hit the gas and left, and once more the truck that right behind me. I knew that I need to get rid of him. It was only then that I had the idea to call the cops. I dialed 911 and told him that this truck was following me and I didn't know why. I told them where I was driving to. I continued to drive on the road then and just hoped that the truck would not do anything crazy. He just kept following me around the same disease. After about 5 minutes a cop car got behind us and pulled the truck over. I kept going and was able to make it home, but I never did find out who he was or why he was following me. It's still a mystery. I didn't do anything like Kadima. I don't even remember seeing him at all prior to that. It was really weird. This is something that happened many years ago when I was a pizza delivery driver. One night I was making a delivery. I don't recall what the order was, probably just a pizza or two, but I drove to this house and arrived there pretty quickly. I parked my car on the side of the street out front. Then I got out and walked up to the front step of the house. I remember that it was a very routine delivery. I rang the doorbell and a man answered. He took the pizza and then gave me money. I was there the door for probably 30 seconds or so. Then I walked back to my car and he got inside. However, when I got into the car I started the engine and I quickly got the surprise of my life. There was a young woman sitting in my back seat. I looked back in the nest. Who are you? She looked calm. She said that she needed someone to drive her home. I said, why are you in my car? She then told me that I needed to drive her home again. I said no, I can't. And working. She just sat there. He didn't say anything. Now I know she had been able to get my car because I had locked the door. When I made quick deliveries I would often not lock the door because I would only be at the house for less than 1 million, plus the car was generally in my say. On this occasion I honestly don't know how he didn't notice her opening my car door or going in, or we see I wasn't looking there. Or you think I would have heard the door open? She must have been pretty sneaky. Anyways, now she was refusing to leave my car. I told her I'm not a taxi driver. You know, she acted like it was a stupid comment and fake laughed and said yeah I know. I asked her why she just got in my car. She didn't answer me. I told her that I wasn't really driver anywhere and she asked me why not. I said I had to get back to the pizza place. Finally, after sitting there for a few more moments, she angrily got out of my car and slammed the door shut. Then she kicked my door and stormed off. I watched where she went and she went inside the house that I just made a delivery to. That confused even more. If she'd been asking me to drive her home, why did she just go in this house? It was really weird. But after that I just went back to the pizza place and continued looking back. There was such a weird situation. I'm not sure where the young woman came from or why she went to my car. Could he have been dangerous? I'm not sure, but I'm not going to give somebody a ride who just randomly gets in my car like that. A few years ago I ordered a pizza from a small town pizza place. I don't live in the city anymore, but at the time I lived in a town that was pretty quiet. Sure, they had Domino's and Papa John's. I wanted to try a local pizza place to see the unique flavors, so I kind of picked the place at random. I guess I knew nothing about it and just hoped that it will be good, but I was excited to try. Now I should mention that I just got home from work and it was about 9 p.m. so it was a little bit later, but nothing crazy. I didn't feel like cooking or going back out to get something, and I lived in a small house that was in a neighborhood probably 10 minutes from the pizza place. I called in and ordered a pizza and was told that it would take about 20 minutes before it would get them. So then I sat Around and waited when 20 minutes went by there was still no pizza, then 30 minutes and then 40, so then I called the pizza place and they told me that the pizza was on its way. I wasn't mad or anything and I wasn't complaining. I just wanted to make sure that the order was still coming, but then some more time went by and there was still no Peter. He was getting tired and also really hungry, so I just make something small and then after it still wasn't there I decided to used go to bed. I was disappointed and did not know why the pizza was never delivered. I thought maybe it got delivered to the wrong house or something, so I just went to bed, but I woke up in the night to the sound of my doorbell ringing. When I heard it, the doorbell rang again like 5 seconds later, then my doorbell started ringing repeatedly. This was followed by loud bangs on my door. I looked and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, so obviously I was suspicious and wondering what was going on. I got up and then left my bedroom and went to a window to look outside. There I saw a pizza delivery guy standing there reading my doorbell and banging on the door over and over. I could not believe it. I went to the door and then answered it. When I did, the pizza delivery guy had my pizza and he simply told me the price. I said, "What took you so long? It's 2 o'clock in the morning." The guy didn't give me an explanation at all. He just repeated the price to me. I said, "You were supposed to be here like 5 hours ago. I'm not paying for that." The guy said that I had to pay and there was no refunds, and he said that he got here as soon as he could. I told him just to take the pizza back. I wasn't paying that. I closed the door in his face, but this guy was anchored. By then he started instantly banging on the door. As soon as it shut, I didn't go back to answer it. He continued banging on the door for like 5 minutes. It was getting to the point where I was going to call the cops if he didn't leave soon, but thankfully the knocking then stopped. I went back to my bedroom to get more sleep. At that point the next morning when I woke up, he was going to leave for work. The pizza guy must have watched the show Breaking Bad or something, because when I got outside, he saw that there was a pizza on my roof. I guess the guy put it there when I didn't accept it. Later that day I called the pizza place and reported. They told me that they were not aware of any pizza being delivered at 2 o'clock in the morning. They said their store closed at 11 p.m. and they would not make any deliveries later than that. As for my pizza, they said they didn't know what happened and were sorry. When I described the pizza guy and as to it was they claim they didn't know. I have no idea what happened, but that was by far the craziest pizza delivery than I ever had.